Okay, we need to talk. I bought a Switch last year along with a copy of Octopath Traveler in the hopes of playing through it quickly enough that it could become a mainstay on the channel alongside Bravely. That never happened, and to this day I still have yet to finish the game. I'm currently working through it at a slow pace to get the thing done, but why did it take so long for me to talk about it? Why haven't I finished Octopath Traveler? Well, there's a couple of reasons for that, and I'm going to go over more of the in-game reasons for that today. At the time of this video, I am approximately halfway through the game. I have about 20 plus hours in, I can't remember exactly how much. So yes, I'd say that's enough time to gauge my experience thus far. There are things I love and things I hate about Octopath, so this is going to take a little time. There are three things about Octopath that really stand out to me, and probably are what makes the trailers of the game shine and make the game look really good. The visuals, the music, and the combat. Note that I did not say design or gameplay, I will get to that. Visually, everyone can agree that this game is fucking gorgeous. The amazing HD 2D look is phenomenal. I love seeing my little 64-bit characters running around on incredibly detailed pixel art backgrounds, whilst at the same time having incredibly bright, flowing, and powerful effects pop up on screen from attacks and abilities. The realism of the ice and fire contrasts and complements the simplistic yet colorful nature of the pixel art brilliantly. Musically, this game is also pretty good. It's not as strong as Bravely, obviously. I mean, you can't beat Default. I would say it ties with Second Score, even it surpasses it in some places. The battle themes are fantastic, and I'm so upset that my favorite character theme is set up to one of my least favorite characters. Sorry guys, but Tressa ain't no idea. Gotta rip that band-aid off right now. She's nice, but you can't compete with the OG murderer. Anyways, all the music is still really good, and the combat music, again, it really invigorates you as you fight. And speaking of fighting, oh my god, the combat, is it ever good. I honestly believe that Octopath is much more strategic than Bravely. The shield point system is wonderful, making great use of enemy weaknesses for once, while coupled to the turn order bar and battle points. For those who haven't played, here's a very brief synopsis. When you hit an enemy with a damage type they're weak to, you will permanently learn that weakness. The enemy will also lose one shield point for each hit from a weakness they take. Once those shield points hit 0, the shield will break, making them open to damage and completely stunned for the remainder of the turn and the full next turn as well. This is the part of the game that I enjoyed the most. Bravely makes its fights a little too easy sometimes because you can pull off some crazy ass moves with all your extra actions. But Octopath manages to keep a great balance between one action per character and still giving them power with a battle point system that empowers abilities instead of giving you extra, as well as planning out what to do with the turn order before your eyes. And that's pretty much all the nice things I have to say. I'll just get this one out of the way to start. The voice acting is not great. It's really not. There's some voices and deliveries that are alright, but for the most part, it's just bad or boring. I almost dropped the game when I reached Hannett, because I could barely bring myself to listen to her weird Nordic caveman speak just so I could finish her chapter and move on. And another thing, game, when you are changing from fully voice acted to semi-voice acted scenes, have a bigger indication of the change. A fade to black doesn't help. There's so many times where I was expecting to hear grunts and groans, only to be taken by surprise when they start talking in full sentences, and vice versa. The voice lines are inconsistent, and this is just kind of annoying. I'm not saying partially voice acted games are bad, I'm saying that this one is bad because it's nearly impossible to tell when it's going from one to the other. The story ain't so hot either. Yes, I'm already aware that they don't really connect, but if that's the case, then they should probably have made each story as unique and intriguing as possible so that they can stand strongly on their own. For some of these characters, it's just, oh, I'm traveling the world now, and every chapter is something different, so it's just simply convenient for them to be a part of the team. Primrose, Thyrian, and Ulbrich probably have the most interesting stories to follow for me so far. But otherwise, I'm not super invested in what's going on. Which takes me to probably the biggest complaint that I have, the game design. I put combat aside for this very reason, as it is the only part of playing that's actually any fun. I hate the design of this game, how the first quarter of this game is arguably more tedious than the third act of Bravely Default. Because they designed the game in such a way that you can start with any of the 8 characters, that just means you're stuck doing 8 tutorials in a row. And it's boring as shit. Then you get to the second chapters for each character, and it's the exact same layout. You start with some voice-acted cutscenes for 10 to 15 minutes, you run around the new town and learn some info, you make use of your character's path action somehow, you learn where the boss is, you level grind in this chapter's dungeon for 2 hours, you fight the boss, and then finally we get a couple more voice-acted cutscenes before the chapter ends and moving on to a completely different story. Over and over again. Now, some of you might just say, well, that's how JRPGs are, dude. But I would like to disagree. At least Bravely tried to throw some variability into it, change things up here and there. But Octopath just gives you some exposition at the start and finish, and then expects you to just wander around and grind for the next 2 hours. I keep saying 2 hours because that's exactly how long it took me to beat each of the first chapters. These first chapters are, again, incredibly easy due to the fact that they are all designed to be tutorials, the first chapters of the game, because you can start with anyone. So none of these bosses gave me trouble. The second chapters have thankfully been increasing their difficulty at a good pace, but so far I've only had 2 game overs. And one of them was from accidentally running into a new zone while I was underleveled, and then having a random encounter wipe me out before I could run back. And the dungeons. Where do I even begin with these? These are the blandest environments I've ever played in. They're literally just walk-through mazes with some chests littered here and there, and then the boss room is at the end. It's not even like a super complex maze, it's really easy to find your way through these. There's no puzzle solving, there's no running around chasing levers to open doors, none of that. Just a place to run in circles and level grind until you fight the boss. Again, at least Bravely gave me something to do while I was grinding. And what the hell is with this character order? Are you seriously trying to tell me that you're supposed to play this game by spelling out Octopath? I'm glad I screwed up and started with Ulbrich then. Ophelia is a massive turnoff in every regard, except for actually starting with a little bit of knowledge to the game's lore and her amazing cleric abilities, which are only really good when you're with a team, so why would you ever start as her? She's boring and annoying. Her plotline is boring and annoying. And why would you ever want to fight your first boss as a healer all by yourself? She only has 2 damage types for breaking shield points, staves and light magic. And then you move on to Cyrus, who is also a mage. So once again, all you have for weapons are staves and now 4 types of magic damage. Oh boy! Then you get to Tressa. She has a little more weapon variety for when you're fighting, but she's a merchant. Like, what the... I don't even understand this decision making. Start with Ulbrich like I did. He's a warrior and is much better to have in your party all the time instead of Ophelia. The first character you pick has to stay in your party at all times. So take Ulbrich. He's just objectively much better. Then you get Primrose, a dancer, Alphen, a different type of healer, and Therion, a thief. Perfect! It's much better than starting with healer with staff, mage with staff, and merchant. I would also bitch about money for a second. Buying equipment for your team is a little annoying because each new chapter there's a new super strong weapon that's going to cost you 60% of your savings. Yes, I pass my belongings to other teammates and I'm not buying every single new sword I come across. But the problem with getting gear is that you're buying for 8 people, not 4 or 3. That's a lot of money you have to spend. And before you say, just transfer your equipment around, I'm preparing in advance for that final boss, which I am planning to record for the channel. Yes, I'm aware of that one mechanic that involves every one of your 8 players. And that's all I really know about mechanics for the boss, so no more spoilers in the comments, please. I know the game's a year old, but I don't want to be spoiled of it. Same reason why I'm doing all the chapters at the same time, starting with everyone's first chapters, then I do everyone's second chapters, before moving on to the third chapters, and so forth. This way, everyone is leveling up at the same rate, and they're staying relatively close to one another, so that I don't have to end up super grinding someone later on. But it's still really annoying trying to upgrade these people when there's so many of them. It's just such a costly venture to go down. So, am I enjoying Octopath Traveler? It's hard for me to say just yes or no. on one hand, I just listed a bunch of reasons that this game is genuinely frustrating for me to play through sometimes, mostly just out of tedium. But on the other hand, the game has some really good elements to it that I just can't ignore, and they're what keeps bringing me back to it. That and my need to find all the Bravely references in this game. I see you, Ulbrich, Eisenberg, and Murgurger Lady. Hopefully I can finish this game soon, and when I do, I will take a full look at it and review it in its entirety. But for right now, it's not going too well, and if you were to ask me right now, as I've been playing it, would I recommend this game? I'd have to say no. For $80, they're still charging $80 for this game. I cannot justify spending that much money for this. It's still too much. But that's all for now, though. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.